There you have it. It's all in place and all tight. And I put new hardware on where I thought was appropriate. Now is a good time to put new hardware on. Don't put old, rusty, crappy nuts and bolts back on there. It's not worth it. So, you know, it's a good idea to do an inspection of your vehicle, you know, before you even start. Because the key is here is, you know, to avoid running into what I ran into last time, is to plan ahead. And if you need to order any parts, you know, order them before you even start the project, and just make sure that you have everything on hand, because otherwise, you know, you'll be stuck and the project will go on for days. But like if you need new bushings, like I didn't need new bushings. My bushings surprisingly were in good shape, so I was able to reuse my bushings. But if you need to order new bushings, then now would be the time to get them and have them on hand. You got some bushings here, you have some bushings there, and then you have bushings there at the top in here too. So, you know, you can't really see the ones up here though, unfortunately, but those ones, you know, probably are okay. These ones down here though get hammered. They're, you know, of course. So if any of them are going to be bad, it's going to be these ones. And if these ones are bad, then you can pretty much, you know, you could, if you want to be on the safe side, go ahead and order the ones for up here as well. That way, you know, you'll have all new stuff. But like I said, mine were in pretty good shape. The nuts and bolts on mine were, the only thing really thrashed on this car was the actual nuts and bolts here. They were rusted out really bad, so I replaced those. So I have a whole bunch of, you know, I don't throw anything away. And I've been working on stuff for years, so I had a whole bunch of stuff on hand. But if you don't, then, you know, you might want to go to the hardware store and get some new nuts and bolts. My favorite place to go for new nuts and bolts is Ace. And you know, just because I've had better luck with them, and they have a larger variety of specialized nuts and bolts on hand. They're really good for that. They're better than Home Depot or Lowe's, from what I found. Home Depot and Lowe's, they stock stuff too, but they stock the most popular things. So they may not have what you're looking for, like the grade 5 or grade 8 bolts with the lock nuts and the washers you want, or if you want stainless, you know, they probably won't have that. Or, you know, or if you wanted to switch over to Allen head type of machine bolts, then stuff like that, you know, you might want to go to Ace, because Ace has a much wider variety of hardware on hand, small hardware like that. So that's just a tip for you. And the other tip is that when you put the sway bar on, you don't want to tighten anything up until you get all your hardware in place. Okay, you put everything on kind of loose. Okay, and then after you have everything together, then you go back and tighten everything up. If you tighten this up or that up or whatever, you know, and you're trying to go to the other side and put your other side on, it's not going to go on, guaranteed. You're going to be fighting it all day long trying to get it on. You'll probably never get it on. So you have to come back and you'll have to loosen it up, because in order to get these bolts on up here, you got to kind of have to rock it back and forth. You got to rock this thing back and forth, you know. So this has to be loose here, and this has to be like completely off here. And then once you get these in, you know, you rock it back and forth. After you get these in, you know, you put the bolts on and the nuts on loose, and then you can come back and put these on here. And then once you have those on, and man, you probably have to squeeze these two brackets together. So you might want to have some kind of a clamp on hand to clamp these together. This is this same size bolt as the one that came off, so you can tell it's kind of short, you know. So if you have like new bushings, I have, you know, my bushings are seasoned, you know, so I was able to just squeeze these clamps together enough to get the nut onto the bolt here, you know, but it's going to be sticking out wide, you know, at first until you squeeze that bushing down together. So if you have a brand new bushing, you might not be able to, you know, squeeze these two brackets together close enough to get the bolt on the end of the to get the nut on the end of the bolt, if you follow me. Unless with just your fingers, you're going to be fighting it, man. So you might have to get some kind of a clamp, like a C-clamp or something, and or just get really long bolts, like get, you know, but then you're going to have bolts hanging down. You're going to have a lot extra. You might want to cut off or just leave them like that, I don't know, but you'd have to get like bolts that are like twice as long as the ones that came on there, because I have a feeling at the factory they had some kind of a special, you know, clamp that they used to put that on. Otherwise you're going to be fighting it. But after you get everything on there loose, then you go back and you tighten everything up really good. Make your day better.